Welcome back to Cocktails and Classics. I'm Dylan. Joining me this week is Ben and Zach. And this week we did Modern Times, the 1936 Charlie Chaplin acted, directed film. To kick things off and get everybody in the right mood, go to this week's cocktail, the Mary Pickford. I was trying to find a cocktail that was like time accurate, but so this one's kind of like a prohibition era cocktail, even though I don't think it was going on in 38. I think it had ended by then. So the Mary Pickford was created and named for the actress who was working on a film in Havana at the time with her husband Douglas Fairbanks, as was Charlie Chaplin, which kind of ties it into the movie here, who was Fairbanks' best friend. The bartender responsible, as happens with most classic drinks, is somewhat debated, and in this case it comes down to two local bartenders, Eddie Woloch and Fred Kaufman, though Kaufman tends to get the lion's share of the credit. While the Cuba story is a fun one, Vanity Fair reports that a thorough review of Mary and Doug's schedule reveals that she was never in Cuba at that time, and they never made a film during their marriage. So it kind of gets muddied there with the history, but we know that it was in print in the cocktail book in 1928. So it's 1.5 ounces of white rum, 1.5 ounces of pineapple juice, a teaspoon of grenadine, and 6 drops of maraschino liqueur. And you shake that all up and strain it into a coupe. And you get an awesome pink color.
Awesome.
The white rum I have is like very like interesting because it's like from like some local place in like Utah. I bought it when we were out in like Wyoming. It definitely does not taste like Bacardi. It's a bit more characteristic, I would say, in a nice way.
Yeah,
a little more like vegetal than like Bacardi, because I feel like Bacardi's like super smooth.
Yeah,
it's like the vodka of rums, basically.
Gross. This cocktail is one that like I will normally do, but I will, instead of just a regular white rum, add a little maybe like a coconut. No, something to kind of make it a little bit more.
Ben's like on a tropical island.
Yeah, no, 100%. That is a summertime favorite of mine. Just throw some coconut rum, some pineapple juice together. I normally don't add the grenadine, but it's normally kind of sweet enough. But I'm sure with the grenadine, is just adds that little bit of sweetness extra to it. 100%. If I'm somewhere, a lot of the times, if I ever go to like Put-in Bay or something like that, where it's middle of summer, I'll just.
I was gonna say the very tropical area of
coconut. Well, look, we're nowhere near tropical. All right, I'm in Michigan. There's an island off the coast of Lake Erie is about the closest to tropical I can get. But
I'm in Grand Haven. I got my feet in the sand. I'm drinking some Mai Tais. Yeah.
My go-to is usually like a coconut rum and pineapple juice. Just can't drink them too fast or too many of them because that much sugar will make you sick.
You guys ever have one of those foods that you just hate as a kid and you sort of grow to like? Because coconut is that for me. I couldn't stand coconut as a kid, and now I'm like, I'll get some coconut water if I'm at Kroger.
Well, I still am not a huge coconut fan. Cause like I feel like when you're young and you hate something, you can tell it's in anything. For me, that is like cucumbers. I hate cucumbers.
Yeah.
And if a cucumber is in something I'm eating, I can.
Yeah.
It hits me, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, cucumbers taste like a garden, and I mean that in the worst way possible.
Love pickles. Love pickles. Once
fantastic.
They're like sit in vinegar and like garlic and dill, fantastic. Yeah. Just plain cucumber in something. It's so pungent of a flavor to my taste buds that I have to pick them out of whatever I'm eating.
It is the black ice car air freshener of vegetables.
I've never heard a more apt description of that.
I feel like this cocktail would be really good if you had some nice grenadine. Like, I feel like roses just isn't adding anything to this besides more corn syrup and sugar.
Yeah. That's why normally, But I'm sure if you actually, maybe instead of like the full-on grenadine, just like a little bit of pomegranate juice, something that wasn't like just straight up syrup sugar, would probably be good. I think realistically, you could probably add anything that's got a little bit of a tropical flavor to it, and it would still be good. A little bit of maybe mix the pineapple juice like a mango nectar, something along there. I think that would be solid. I don't think you can really go wrong.
Check the show notes below, and you can get your recipe for a Mary Pickford. You don't have to go to Havana to make one. You can make it at home. You can bring Putin Bay into your living room.
You could just fly into Havana and then make one.
You could. Hit up the Drizzly Casker links and get yourself some white rum. And I'm sure I'll be able to find and tag some nice grenadine. It'll probably cost you a little bit more, but it won't be just pure corn syrup like Rose's. And check out Modern Times. It's on HBO Max right now as of recording. So you'll understand what we're about to discuss, because we're going to spoil it, sort of. There's not much to spoil, but it's a comedy film.
Can you spoil the plot of a movie that doesn't really have a plot?
Wait till you check out the quotes section. Make sure you directly link to the best quotes of the movie section.
When 15 minutes were left and it was like, oh, give him a job at this place and he'll sing and dance with me. And I was like, really? With 15 minutes left, we're gonna have a whole dance and song number? After the whole movie that was nothing like that. There was no music. There was barely dialogue besides two things, and then we're gonna have a whole song. Okay.
That song went on forever too.
Oh, I know. I was like, okay, cool. All right, we're on to the 8th verse now. All right, yeah. Are we almost done? And we're just saying nonsense.
It's
cool.
Just gibberish the whole time.
Nice, speaking French.
Oh, is he? I thought it was gibberish.
I think the song was in French, but he didn't know the words. The words are supposed to be on his cuffs, and he loses the words, so he just starts rattling shit off.
Oh, I thought it was supposed to be in English, and it's what she wrote, and then I thought he just was just started doing French, and it may not make sense. I don't know. I don't speak French.
I'm pretty sure it's gibberish, man.
I think he just literally was supposed to have the words on his cuff, and when he looks at her I don't know what to do, and she's just just sing something. And so he just starts... What I love, though, is the fact that he's saying absolute gibberish, but he's doing gestures and shit. So, you know what words you're supposed to be saying because you're gesturing them, but you just can't think to say them.
Modern Times is a 1936 comedy drama film, I guess. It's the story of the Tramp struggles to live in modern industrial society with the help of a young homeless woman. It's directed by Charlie Chaplin, written by Charlie Chaplin, stars Charlie Chaplin, Paulette Goddard, Henry Bergman, Tiny Sandford, Chester Conklin, Hank Mann, Stanley Blythe. These are
how many of these names are? How many of these names are just bullshit?
Sammy Stein.
You want me to do what? I'm sorry. No, I won't. I refuse to be in this picture. What if we just call you? What if we just call you Hank Mann? Okay, I'll do it.
These are just porn names now.
Chester Conklin,
Tiny Stanford,
and Hank Mann in Backdoor Slut 7.
In Modern Grinds.
Murdoch McQuarrie.
Tiny. I never realized that Charlie Chaplin was so short. He's 5'4".
Yeah, he's a small guy. But back then, that was a giant.
Yeah, because people hadn't evolved to be that big yet.
Obviously.
When he's standing next to the guy in his jail cell, I was like, holy crap. Charlie's a little guy.
Well, even when you first see all the people in the factory working, and then you finally get to Charlie Chaplin, you're like, wait a minute, you've got all these dudes that look massive compared to him, and he just looks like a child.
Modern Times currently sits at an 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb. That's the number 39th top-rated movie on their top 250.
That accounts for inflation, right?
Yeah, they took 1936 stars.
I think that's right. We'll get to that later, but
I don't think any of us had ever seen this film. This is the oldest movie we've ever done, and the first silent film,
quote unquote.
There is some I don't think it's dialogue, but it's like recorded because like they play the like the vinyl records. The singing isn't really there. It's like lip sunk. And then I think the one where the guy talks at the very beginning, like the foreman talks, I think that's also recorded.
Yeah.
And it's just because I think it's only through the video.
I thought there were parts of it that got like a chortle. I don't think there was a lot of it that was like laugh out loud funny, but it was kind of interesting to see like what passed for like, the end all be all of humor for 1936.
Yeah, this movie.
Like, this was the funniest shit they'd ever seen.
Yeah, this.
Now it's a guy turned himself into a pickle.
Yeah.
That's the evolution of humor.
Yeah, this movie recorded 0 laughs out of me.
Wow. I thought this movie was fucking funny. I didn't think it was like hilarious. Like I wasn't like, oh my god, I gotta immediately watch this again. It was so funny, but like I thought it was, funny. I'm not usually the slapstick guy, so I thought it did a good job because I don't really love like I don't love like goofy body humor, but I thought Charlie Chaplin does an amazing job with like utilizing his body. Like when he's working on the factory line and he's like twisting the knobs, and then after he gets off and he's like still jerking around, and I was like, that's funny. That's good. But it's like, the bit happens and you get your chuckle, your laugh, and then it like keeps going a little too long. But
yeah,
or he goes back to the joke after.
Got to go back to that well. Got to make sure we get as much out of it as we can.
What else can we do in this 1930s depressing factory to make you laugh? Oh, I know. Twitchy arms. That's the best we got in Depression-era factories.
But it's so weird, like, having never seen a Charlie Chaplin movie before, but, like, the bits. Like, the bit on the line where he keeps going to the end, and then the guy's like, no, go back. You've seen that, and you've seen it referenced in, like, a million things. Like, I Love Lucy, or... there's like a ton of modern like cartoons and movies that have.
I think in an isolated box, this movie is worse than like the critical acclaim it gets because of the character Charlie Chaplin plays. He plays in like every movie, so it's like the same character. There's no need to get attached to this guy at all. You just sort of like him. But if this is the only Charlie Chaplin movie you've seen, I don't know. You turn it on, you're like, who's this goofball and why do I care?
Zach's sitting out here acting like Charlie Chaplin wasn't the 1930s Adam Sandler. Dude plays practically the same character in every movie, does the same physical type of humor, and then it's just like, why do I care? But because it's Charlie Chaplin and not the Sandman, Zach's like,
because he didn't say words. If there was words, Zach would love Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, if Charlie Chaplin was...
Talked in a little voice like this. I'm gonna twist these little wrenches.
That would have been way funnier. I'm going to tighten these bolts.
I'm just going to tighten the bolt. Tighten the bolt.
Yeah, that would have got 10 out of 10.
All of a sudden, it's God's gift is cinema, but because he's not doing fucking silly voices and fucking hand gestures, all of a sudden, I've seen this movie 100 times.
God. Do you know what I would pay a ton of money for? Give me one of these
Adam
movies.
Sandler making Modern Times.
Yeah, give me Adam Sandler. Not even remaking the movie, just dub lines over Charlie Chaplin with Adam Sandler, and if it could be narrated somehow by Norm Macdonald, be fucking hilarious.
Oh.
Yeah. So then the factory workers went on strike, and most of them starved because they didn't have money.
Death. Because they couldn't eat. It's funny. Get it? Where will I find my next meal?
A
sure
Gammon would become something.
Rob Schneider.
Something VV.
Yeah. Valerie Vixen or something. I gotta tell you though, the big difference, the reason that Charlie Chaplin will sit below Sandman in the sort of actor's universe is he's not enough of a gravitational pull. Like he doesn't have stars that just people know them because of him, you know? Like, it's a Charlie Chaplin movie. But when it's a Sandman movie, it could be anybody from the Sandlerverse. It could be Chris Rock. It could be Kevin James. It could be David Spade.
You saw Hank Man and you fucking knew that was Hank Man. He you knew, you were like, hey, isn't that Hank Man? The 1930s
like
film
he doesn't
star?
know exactly who Edward LeSaint was, right?
Or Tiny Sanford.
The funniest thing about Hank Man is you look at his IMDb photo, and it's like, it looks like something out of the 1870s, and it's autographed. His profile picture is autographed, and somebody drew a mustache on him in purple pen.
Okay, I have to look at the... Oh my god, they did! Although I will
That's
say...
his IMDb photo.
I have a feeling it was him who drew the mustache on himself.
It was Hank Man who drew the mustache.
Everyone knows how much of a joker that Hank Man was. Talk about a little tramp. That Hank Man.
So this was Chaplin's last silent movie. Yeah, he had already played the Tramp in like numerous movies before this. It was a character that you were supposed to know, and I just didn't know him. You know.
I mean,
you know who?
Okay,
you know who Charlie.
Zach really didn't understand the lore, but also I also just went though to Hank Man's IMDb credits, and almost the first like 3 movies on there of what he's known for, all Charlie Chaplin movies. Charlie Chaplin had the Chaplin verse way before. Dude was the OG Sandler.
It was just him and Hank Man.
The CCU. I'm a huge CCU fan. The Charlie Chaplin universe.
You know who today is like the modern Charlie Chaplin? Charlie Day. I don't know why. These two just looked like the same person to me. Minus the whole Hitler mustache thing.
I think.
Well, let's be honest. We could all see Charlie Day though growing a Hitler mustache, could we not? Like, I feel like that's something they would do for the show.
On him. Oh, okay.
I feel like that's something they would do for the show, and he would 100% do it. Like, if someone pitched it, was like, wouldn't it be funny if Charlie grew a like Charlie Chaplin Hitler mustache? And then if they agreed it would be funny, he would do it.
Well, here's the thing: we're watching a movie made almost 90 years ago. Huh. You know, it wasn't as funny as some of these modern ones where they talk. And this movie was also made like during the Depression. It was like, oh yeah, guys, the world sucks. Here's a little humor. Wrapped in a movie about how the world sucks.
I mean, there were good comedies that came out in 2009. I don't want to hear fucking excuses.
Yeah, but every one of them was like, oh man, look at this. The world crashed. So much for your house.
And they were funny too. The Big Short, fucking hilarious.
It is so interesting to like sit and like watch a silent movie now. Just purely based on the fact like they literally didn't say anything. They mouthed shit, but like half the time you get a title card to tell you what they were saying. The other half, it's just, it could be anything.
Hope you got
Were you guys trying to read the lips like after like the first like 3 minutes to see if you could follow what was going on? Because I 100% after a couple minutes in was just like, okay, I feel like now I have to watch and see if I can figure out what they're saying.
For me, I always did that when the title card came up. I would then check to see like, oh, are they mouthing what that said before or after?
Yeah. I know the what is it? What is a gammon?
Yes.
Gammon. There was the one where her and the tramp were sitting like in the grass, imagining like the house and that. And she starts to say something, the title card comes up, and then she's mouthing like the last word of the title card. And I was like, oh, it did match. Okay.
Yeah, you can read her lips really well throughout the whole movie.
Paulette was actually married to Charlie Chaplin at one point for a few years during this movie, actually. And then they got divorced, and Charlie married a 18-year-old at the age of 54. So
classic. As you do in Hollywood.
My man was the original Drake.
But they did stay married the rest of their lives.
I mean, let's just put it out there. She did originally get married at the age of 16, and then she got divorced before she married Chaplin.
Good call.
Different times.
Good call.
So
She's lucky she got to get divorced. They usually hung women for being witches when they got divorced.
Yeah, she
In
did
the
her
1900s.
she did her first whatever
Whenever the
movie.
Salem witch trials took place.
She did her first movie at 13, was married to a wealthy man by 16, and then got divorced and went to Hollywood.
For a second, so there was no dialogue for like the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes or whatever. And then the TV came on and the guy started talking. I was like, wait, I thought this was a silent movie. And I was like expecting people to start talking. And then no one did. And I was like, okay, all right. They tricked me a little bit here.
Yeah, the audience felt that way too. The trailer for the movie that only showed the talking parts. So when they played it on TV and everybody saw it, they're like, oh, Charlie Chaplin, oh, he's in a talkie, see? I gotta go see that, see? Then they went and saw it and they felt hoodwinked.
I like the fact that you like that you're expecting people to buy that they were showing the fucking things on TV in 1935.
Well, not everybody had a TV because of the Depression.
Oh man, they just showed us all the
Most
all the talkie parts in the trailer. This movie sucks.
Most people ate their TVs to survive. We used to wrap them in cowhide.
Yeah, they had to listen to the trailer on the radio. It was really hard to listen to it. It was just all silent.
Can we talk about special effects? Because there's one. The
really famous one? The
really
one?
famous one, yeah. If you haven't seen that, there's a couple great videos on the YouTubes about how they did that scene.
Yeah, I've watched those before. It actually is really interesting.
The
Yeah, they basically, where he's blindfolded skating in the
skating
department
around.
store.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did they do it? Because during that scene, I was like, did Charlie Chaplin do all his own stunts? Because I'm interested to know how he was like blindfolded for that.
He actually died during the making of that movie.
Yeah.
That's why it was his last one.
Yeah. So there is no edge. That's the amazing thing when you watch the movie. There's no edge there. It's a pane of glass that's got like a scene painted on top of it of the 4 floors down. That kind of Yeah. So he's just kind of skating. He knew he had this circle they had to skate in, and then when they put the camera up, it just looked like he died.
I mean, I knew they would do that, like the painted floors type stuff, because I think that's what they do. There's that other famous one where he's on the clock.
Yeah,
that's Buster Keaton.
Oh, okay. Well, that one they did the same thing though.
But yeah, same thing.
Similar.
Same, but different.
Another famous actor who did a lot of his stunts and was also like body humor.
And also
Slapstick.
silent. I will say the one thing I think that probably actually did have me laughing decently was the feeding machine.
Yeah.
As he's just getting smacked in the face with a corn cob just repeatedly.
When the corn cob was rotating through his mouth, all I could think of was that Jason Derulo TikTok where he had like his teeth ripped out. You guys seen that?
His tooth is like chipped or something.
Yeah. It's like cut in half.
Did he try to put like corn cob on the drill?
Yeah, he had a Milwaukee drill or something. Turned it on and then bit into it.
You didn't realize.
Ripped half his tooth out.
You didn't realize that the hammer part meant it was gonna go really fast.
It's just like an impact driver.
Yeah,
probably.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
Dude had it set to the highest setting instead of setting it to like 1, so it would just like.
He set it to wumbo.
The fact that, like, in the original, I kept wondering, like, what the hell are they going to do with the fact that, like, this is just spraying oil in people's faces?
Oh my god, how many people got blinded in the making of this movie?
I'm like, what the hell are they going to do with this? That, like, this is okay. And they're just like, he had a nervous breakdown. And I'm like, oh, that would play pretty well. And, it's a mental illness. You can't fault him for it. Like, shit. He got away with it.
Classic 1930s.
Way to be super socially aware of mental illness.
Nervous breakdowns. Also, that fucking escalator, that shit looked dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Like it looks like it's just
Right.
like an open thing at the end. Like you know how today it's kind of like they have like the guard and then like you can't really like go in. That one looked
Yeah.
like it was just like an open hole, and it was like, all right, step off and don't like pay attention when you're on here.
Otherwise, you'll die.
10 out of 10 will die. A little bit of like, it was almost like toilet humor adjacent
Oh,
as
the
he's sitting
tea?
there with the tea and like
The
his
bubble
stomach
butt?
just starts gurgling. It's just like, are they really going to make a fart joke right now? It's like, is this really? Maybe the 1930s humor wasn't as far off as I thought it was. And then they just kind of like slowly played with the gurgling. I'm just like, oh, okay. No, got it.
I didn't know that was in the movie at first. Like I heard like the, I was like, what's
Dylan looks
and
at his
then-
wife and is just like, what the fuck? Are you hungry? We just ate.
Well, no, I was the only one here, so I was like,
Dylan
what?
shits himself on the couch.
I don't know. It is funny. I think Charlie Chaplin is probably one of the greatest, like, actors with so much control over his body and like just flat out like ability to do stunts, like the roller skating. Uh, like he falls really well. Like he has a lot of great body control with like the twitching or like the walking goofy, like his facial expressions, uh, falling, like doing his stunts. He's a master of the craft.
Do you think we'll get someone with that type of like ability for physical humor the way that we had back then? Just because of the fact that so much of that, I think the reason he's so good at that comes from the whole vaudeville type.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure that's probably the training he had. And now that that's just not as much of a thing, like people just don't go around doing like touring live like
You know what it reminds me of?
clown comedy.
It reminds me of Singing
I
in
feel
the
like-
Rain. The guy who did his
Yeah.
the one number, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, make him laugh.
Yes.
Where he does, yeah, it's very vaudeville slapstick.
Donald O'Connor's piece, yeah, where he was like doing all the facial expressions and the like body control, like that reminds me so much. And the movie is about going from the silent film era into the like talkies
Yeah.
and stuff. So it definitely fits in that movie. But that's like what made me think of his ability to control and contort his body.
I don't think we'll get another person who's that good at it, and I think it's just the environment. It's like the 3-point line in basketball. When they made it, all of a sudden people started using it. Like back then, you didn't have audio. You didn't have people speaking, so you had to be like physically funny.
I think it's kind of switched from like where it was like the vaudeville type thing for live comedy like that. I think that's now just like improv. You know what I mean? Where like
Yeah.
every big city has some sort of improv group slash, I don't know,
Troupe?
like school almost. Well, you know,
Like Second City.
is like,
Yeah.
yes, it's a troupe, but it's also like a school.
Yeah.
UCB out in LA is like yeah, you can be part of the troupe, but you have to take classes and like work your way up. And I feel like back then it was like you do this, but you learn how to be like do this physical comedy, and now it's like everything's improv. Everything must be improv. And I wonder if that's just kind of the reason. I wonder what the next kind of, I guess, move is going to be.
Yeah, because I feel like it was definitely like that was comedy. That was like it then. Now it's a lot more dialogue heavy. There's like the occasional slapstick joke. I mean, you have like your Will Ferrells, your Adam Sandlers. Like they're like your slapstick guys. And I think nowadays it's all mainly in dialogue. And that kind of goes with like stand up comedy and stuff.
Which I think is the issue, like, not the issue. I don't want to make it sound like it's a negative. I think that's the result of so many comedy writers' backgrounds now coming from stand up.
Because I mean, I think improv is like you kind of get that with like SNL and that sort of stuff, but I don't know. It's hard to like think of because like even like in that dance number, he's like doing stuff that like with his hands and like moving like stuff that isn't there. Like I feel like you only get that today really in improv, because like even like SNL, they'll just make props and like like it's less
Yeah.
of the imagination and it's more of like seeing stuff actually. But like I feel like when you're in an improv space, like what was the Middleditch and Schwartz, like their special
I was just gonna say,
was
yeah,
was like
the middle
pure
ditch and Schwartz
improv.
improv, where it's like all we have are 2 chairs and
Us.
the audience, and now we're just going to have to make it all up. But even then, I feel like you don't rely as much on the intricacies of the like body control, because still so much of it comes from the whole, what can I say that would be funny here? Thanks for ruining comedy podcasts.
We're gonna hit up some ads. We're gonna come back, do some trivia. You know we love saving the turts. You know Cam hates fucking paper straws.
Paper straws song. I will say that paper straw technology has improved since I last shat on paper straws. I have used a couple since I've been able to go out more recently due to being vaccinated, and
That's what they were doing the whole time while we were inside. They were just inventing better paper straws.
I have seen also not paper straws, but it seems like they're compostable plastic straws or something. Like
You're talking about the
like,
ones
they
that
feel
are made out of
different.
like agave or whatever.
I have no idea what the composition of these straws are. I'm just, but they are different.
I'm not
than
a
the
straw
normal ones you
expert.
see. But you're the expert, Dylan.
But I do know a good glass straw when I see one, you know?
Yes. I will say for being at home and where you know, maybe you like straws in your fruity margaritas, or you like straws to mix with your, you know, old fashions or whatever. You know, having these straws around the home is really nice. No, not constantly like throwing things away, or you don't have to keep buying straws all the time. Like you just buy a couple and then you're good.
And if you want cocktail picks or muddlers, they have that too. There's many colors. He's getting into like designs. So like the pride flag, he puts it on like the side of the straw. He's got hearts. He's got critters. It's like you get a piece of art along with a straw. Little multi-use.
Oh yeah, he has critter straws, which have see a dolphin, a salamander. That salamander looks intricate. That is impressive.
Grab some glass straws from Surfside Sips. Use promo code cocktails and classics spelled out for 20% off. We get a little kickback from that, and you get to save some money on some glass straws, and they should last you a long time. Dishwasher safe. They're pretty sturdy. Just don't drop them on the floor like me, like a big idiot. You have to buy more. This is the part of the movie you see, the podcast, where Zach takes over and leads us through some trivia. Zach, what do you got for us on Modern Times? We're just going to talk like this the rest of the time.
Please do.
All right,
Please.
that's good, because then I don't have to. Oh, boy. Question number 1. This film was banned in Germany. For what reason? A, its communist tendencies.
Mustache.
B, they believe Charlie Chaplin was Jewish. Or C, its portrayal of labor strikes.
Oh God, not the Hitler mustache reason? Oh man.
Wow.
When was it banned? Can we ask that as a follow-up?
Yeah, it never was released in Germany. Like the year it came
from
out, they were
right
like, no,
away.
fuck that.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Cool.
Which, you know, he who must not be named, Lord Voldemort, was coming to power at that point. Or really getting into it.
It was dark times, Harry, dark times.
What, are you guys talking about the boy who lived under the stairs?
Anchor!
No. I'm talking about the
where
former
you can
artist.
make podcasts.
I think it's gonna be its portrayal of labor strikes.
I think Ben wanted that one.
You bitch. I did want that one. I'm gonna go with it anyways.
I mean, the other
Fuck
one,
it.
the other one is kind of similar in a vein, the communist tendencies, but
Yeah,
That
but
was
I
my
still
other
think it was. I think it was more towards the labor strikes.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. It was the communist tendencies. You
No.
dumb bitches. How'd you
Oh,
not know that, you fools?
Balls.
Got him.
dang, well, see, I told you guys, Communist Manifesto, this movie.
Right up our alley.
Did Charlie Chaplin get blacklisted for this?
In Germany. All right, so Zach is on the board with a point. Question number 2. How old was the choice old rum that the burglar shot up in the department store? A, 18 years old, B, 27 years old, or C, 36 years old?
What was the first one? 18?
18, 27, or 36?
I'm going to say 27.
I was gonna say 18.
Okay, I just didn't want you to steal my answer again.
No, it's fine.
Worked out so well last time. The correct answer is 27.
Wow.
7-year-old big ass barrel of rum too.
Yeah, thing was massive.
I will say that was easily the best job that Charlie Chaplin had throughout the whole movie. Was that like night watchman at the department store?
Well, hell yeah. I mean, especially if he would have been able to get away with the shit he was doing.
Yep.
Like, hey, we'll just come here. You can sleep. I'll work. We can eat the food.
Wake you up when the store's open?
We can go ahead and eat the free food, drink the free liquor. No one's ever going to know. Pour a little water back in there. Just kind of dilute it. No one will know.
Oh, don't hire Ben. Watch out.
Yep, watch out. 1930s department store. I'm a real bad egg.
The bad egg is in the lead with 1 point. Question number 3. Proud of this one. How many bolts do we see Charlie Chaplin tighten in the movie?
Oh,
Jesus.
fuck off.
A,
Fuck off.
289, B, 365, or C, 468? Bolts,
Is he tight?
not buttons.
He's tightening 2 at a time?
Sometimes.
It was very humorous when the lady walked in with the bolts on on her shirt, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
come on,
go ahead. Go
Come
ahead.
on,
Watch where you're
Charlie.
going with that one.
I'm gonna go. What was the first one? 270, 80,
289.
289.
289. I'm gonna go with 289.
You. Fuck you. Can you just not?
Really should have let Ben go first. He's in the lead.
But I think I'm right. So
Okay.
Yeah.
When you know,
Well,
you know. You gotta go for it.
I'm saying 289 because that's what was in my gut. That
All
was
right.
my
Well,
first
then I'm going
reaction.
I'm going 370, whatever it was.
It's 365. For
It was
fuck's
not-
sake.
I didn't give you a 70. There was no 70 in there.
All right, 365.
All right. I really feel like I deserve the win here because it was 468. Stumped you boys on 2 questions. Ben takes home the win with a point.
That's all I need. It's like one of those football matches. 1 point's all you need to win.
No one saw this movie, so you're gonna get 3 fresh reviews on Modern Times.
Certified fresh. I'll go first. I'll kick it off. I don't do this a lot. We're going to give the movie the tagline. It was I. Charlie Chaplin had 0 funny lines throughout the whole movie. Big knock there. No, I mean,
quotables.
I couldn't get into the character. Honestly, that was probably the downfall right off the bat. It was like, I just didn't like this guy.
Zach hates homeless people. You heard it here first.
But yet he loves tramps.
Yeah, where was the fucking
Different-
dog in this movie? There were going to be
different kind
dogs
of
in this
tramps.
movie.
Zach loves tramps, especially when they're stamped.
Stamped?
But for some reason,
Stamp tramp.
not this one.
There was a lot of slapstick humor in this movie that some of it was funny, but I think all of it went on too long. Like the bolt thing. It was funny when his arms were like twitching, but then it went on for another 5 minutes. Or when he blinded like a dozen people with a can of oil. Like, come on, man. One was all right. The food scene when he was feeding his like boss, fixing the machinery constantly, that went on for way too long. And honestly, I thought that the food machine itself, the automatic feeding thing, went on for too long too. There were some cool things in the movie, like some really cool visual effects. I liked the general story. So I'm going to give the movie a 5. I don't think you need to see it. It's okay. It's just too old.
I felt kind of similar on this one. Realistically, I don't think it's a must-watch. I think the only reason to watch it is if you're trying to kind of maybe study America in the late 30s. Like, you know, it was cool. It was kind of a cool piece of Americana to see it, and, you know, this is what humor was, and this is what got people to go to the theaters to spend their nickels and see a show.
On whole nickel to see the new Chaplin flick, eh?
Yeah, I had it kind of at like a 4.5, 5. It was okay. There were parts that I thought were kind of funny. Overall, I didn't think it was spectacular. It was all right. Like Zach said, it was aight. I'm gonna leave it there. I think I think a lot of people rate it higher because of the fact that it's old sometimes. I think like I said, I think sometimes people give it a 2021 4, and in 1936 that's like an 8. So they just kind of are like, it's an 8 out of 10. We'll give it some inflation points because it's old, and I don't know that it deserves it.
It's probably more important than it is good.
Yes, I think some of the and I'll give it credit. The effects of like the skating in that was cool.
Yeah.
I even kind of the gears, when he's going through the machine, kind of a cool little section of the movie. I wouldn't even call it a full scene.
I actually enjoyed this movie. I don't know, it is hard. Like, was I blown away by it? No. Did I enjoy watching it? Was I chuckling and chortling and giving it a ha-ha and a hee-hee? Yeah. I agree with Zach. Like, I feel like some of the bits went on a little long, but that might just be like the times.
Could it also be because our attention spans nowadays are so much fucking shorter that like we expect it to just be like punchline and then move on to the next thing, versus back then it was like let the punchline sink in a little bit?
I think it just takes years of finding that sweet spot.
Like, I feel like it was like, all right, it's gotta reach like a minute 30. Let's let the scene breathe a little bit.
Hey, we paid hundreds of dollars for this feeding machine. We need to slap you around with it for at least 2 minutes.
Like, I don't know. I enjoyed the feeding machine, but like, yeah, like him feeding the guy with his head locked in the thing, or like, yeah, some of the like twist and jerk in stuff, or just watching the tramp walk around with his like oversized clown shoes. Like, it's all right. He walks goofy. That's funny, I guess. But like, I don't need to.
Allison immediately looked and was like, his feet aren't that big, right? I'm just like, no. I think he's wearing the shoes for comedy.
Yeah. Do you need to watch this? Like Ben said, I think if you're trying to study film, if you want to see like a classic piece of Americana, even though Charlie Chaplin's not even American, but I think this movie, and it's definitely old Hollywood, silent pictures, the end of an era. Check it out then. But I don't think it's a necessity. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to rate and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram at Cocktails and Classics Pod. Hit the Drizzly and Casker links below. Surfside Sips. Buy you some glass straws. Help us out. They would make a lovely Christmas present. Watch Modern Times on HBO Max as of recording. Yeah, check us out next week as we watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for Thanksgiving. Get you in the little mood to eat some turkey, watch some football, watch the Lions lose.
Travel, because everybody's traveling nowadays.
Yep. Go get you some COVID. And don't forget to rate and subscribe. Check us out next week. Bye. As always, watch
Bye,
responsibly.
bitch.